Welcome! Each week I look through various reports from around the world to look for items about local weather and climate, and now of course the coronavirus status. And this video is a summary of that research. Welcome to spring. At 11:49 Eastern summertime on the 19th of March, it became spring in the Northern Hemisphere. And of course it's equivalent to autumn in the Southern Hemisphere. This is a lovely picture of Mount Fuji covered with snow and all the beautiful cherry blossoms in bloom below. There seems to have been a lot of heavy rainstorms around the world recently. Here's examples of 3 of them. The so-called dragon storm inundated Egypt. This was once in a generation storm which produced torrential rain, strong winds and even a sandstorm. The airport was closed, schools were closed as well, and train services were disrupted. There are leaving 21 dead, including 6 children. Even Las Vegas got in on this act. It got over an inch of rain in under an hour. This was a record for the day, beating the previous record by a factor of 4. There were flash flood warnings issued, though I believe, at least to date, nobody was hurt. There was heavy rain in Indiana. It got nearly 3 inches of rain in a day or two. That caused flash flooding and washed out a bridge. Several cars drove into the water. 4 have been killed and 2 are still missing. Now to the other end of the scale, the Colorado River is drying up. Increasing temperatures in the area means there's less snow. What snow there is evaporates more quickly and melts less, and basically it sublimes. The lower albedo because of the lack of snow causes yet higher temperatures, melting what snow there is more rapidly. The flow in the river apparently has dropped by over 20% in the last 100 years. Perhaps this late season snowstorm in California will help the Colorado River deficit. Several feet of snow fell at the highest altitude in the Sierra this last week. It does make a small dent in the winter deficit because basically in February they got no snow at all, which is their usual big month for snow. Does this lead to a skiing boom? Unfortunately not, because most of the resorts are closed due to the coronavirus. Further south, there's a water shortage in the Panama Canal. Recurring droughts in the Panama area are causing a water shortage for the canal. Increased temperatures are also making the feeder lakes, which are used to fill the various canals, lose more water to evaporation than they have in the past. An eruption in Indonesia has caused an island to turn into a wasteland. This is Mount Tal, erupting just a few days ago. This is what the island looked like before the eruption. As you can see, it's a green, verdant island with just a few farming communities around the edges. This is what it looks like now, covered completely in ash. Talking about seismic activity occurring in places that shouldn't occur, apparently an earthquake rattled Salt Lake City this last week with a 5.7 magnitude quake. 35,000 people were left without power. The airport terminal had to be evacuated at one stage, but there are no reports of any injuries. There have been a number of aftershocks since then. Some very disappointing news on the climate front. The Greenland ice sheet lost about 600 cubic kilometers of ice last summer. This is the results from the gravity mission called GRACE. This is the largest recorded ice loss so far, and it's 4 times more than the average over the last decade. This by itself could have raised sea levels by over 2 millimeters. Here's the current status of the COVID-19 outbreak across the world. You can see that we have over 275,000 cases. Unfortunately, 92,000 of those are recovering. That's an increase of 21%. But unfortunately, the deaths have increased by 95% to over 11,000. We now have 163 countries involved in this outbreak, whereas we had 138 last week. So we've had a 75% increase in the number of cases, but most of that has been in Europe and the United States rather than in the Far East, which is what it was mainly concentrating on before. Well, I wish the news were better, but it is what it is. So in the meantime, please stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.